Good morning, YouTube. Hope everyone's having a great morning. Welcome to another episode of Life with Brian. I am in the middle of my morning commute in my 2008 Honda S2000, S2K for short. And I thought I would shoot a quick video. I think I kind of say this about all my cars, but I really do mean it about my S2K. I don't drive this car as much as I would like to. Again, because I just have other cars that I take more often, obviously. But the S2000 is a wonderful, wonderful car to drive. You know, I'm not going to go into the specs or, you know, that sort of, you know, technical stuff. You guys can find that on Google. But for any of you who have driven an S2K, you'll obviously understand what I'm talking about. It's a very, out of all my cars, my S2000 is the most fun and the easiest to drive quickly. Not fast, but quickly. Because there's a difference between driving quick and driving fast. You know, the way I describe it is if I need to, not that, okay, I don't weave in and out of traffic. That's not what I mean. But specifically on my way home, on my commute home, there's this particular area of the what do you call it, the feeder road, where you kind of have to weave in and out of depending on how nice people are in terms of letting you in. And a lot of times I kind of dread that part of my commute depending on what car I'm in. For example, if I'm driving my Gallardo with that clunky slow E gear, or you know a lot of my other cars, I'm like, you know, am I gonna be able to fit in there? You know, am I gonna hit someone trying to kind of get to a really tight spot? Anywho, my S2000 is, whenever I take this car, I never have any fears about that, because this car is the easiest car to drive quickly, to get into a tight spot, to kind of maneuver very quickly. Not straight line speed, but I think my S2K is the best car that I have if I need to go quick for some reason, quick maneuvers. I forgot how much this car weighs, but it doesn't weigh a lot. Obviously it's not as light as a Miata. But it feels very light, feels very nimble, very agile. Obviously, you have the legendary VTEC, which again to me is not really actually a big plus about this car. But the point of this video is I kind of was thinking, you know, why doesn't the S2K get a lot of love? I think it's overshadowed by a lot of its other JDM brethren. I mean, if you think about it, the S2000 is easily one of the greatest roadsters of all time. Of course, you think of stuff like the Miata, which I still believe is the best-selling sports car of all time. But you know, obviously, it's a roadster as well. The BMW Z4, Z3, the Porsche Boxster. Obviously, there's many other cars that are in that conversation. But the S2000 definitely, I think, should be considered top 4, top 5 greatest roadsters of all time. But when you start thinking of it from the standpoint of greatest JDM cars of all time, right? You think of stuff like the MR2, the Supra, the RX-7, the Skyline GTR, everything comes up before you really think about the S2000, right? I think a lot of people even think about stuff like, you know, 3000 GT, maybe not the Supra SVX, but you know, the 300CX, the Civics, the Accords, everything basically kind of comes up before you think of a Honda S2000, which is weird because it's a fantastic car. It's incredibly reliable. You know, obviously Honda and Toyotas are universally known for their reliability, but when you have the experience of driving or owning other JDMs, I'm talking about my RX-7. You know, things I've heard about the SVX, although I haven't had issues with mine really. Even you know, stuff like GTRs, Supras, you know, things occasionally pop up. But you know, for my Honda S2000, it's been completely trouble-free ownership for like, gosh, I've had it now almost 6 years now, 5 to 6 years. I have really no issues. Change the oil once a year and I'm good to go. It's just bulletproof reliability. It's fun to drive. Like I said, it's my most fun and the easiest car I have to drive quickly. And I just don't really get why it kind of gets poo-pooed on. I mean, people really rave about the stick shift in this car. I honestly think it's kind of overrated, guys. I find it to be a little bit notchy myself. It's not one of my favorites. it kind of has a unique feel to it, but it's a little rubbery, a little bit notchy for my liking. But you know, a lot of people swear by, they say, you know, it's one of the greatest manuals of all time. I don't know about that, but and also I have a hardtop, OEM hardtop on my car, so I don't have the soft top anymore. But just because, you know, reduces the noise in the cabin, and S2000s are notoriously loud. But yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic car. For me, the one downside, I don't know if maybe why other people don't like the S2000 because of this, because I think I'm definitely in the minority. But I do not like the VTEC. I don't like having to work for my power. Again, you have to be basically above 6,500 RPM to be in the power band in this car, and you know, which means that the engine's constantly, like, you know, sounds like it's about to explode, and you're kind of just droning on and on and on. And you know, if you're below 6,500, you're, you know, and obviously this car has no torque. I think the torque is less than 200, I believe, 185, something like 190, something like that. So yeah, the car has no torque to begin with, but you really have to work for the power. And I don't know if maybe that's why a lot of people don't like the S2000. I read an article not too long ago where it was kind of basically poo-pooing on the S2000 and basically saying a lot of people love it, but if you actually kind of drill down into the car itself, the driving dynamics of it, the shifter, the everything is kind of like a crappy car. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely, I think, a little bit overstated. But the shifter aside, I think it's a fantastic driving car. It's a fun car. Like I said, it's like a go-kart feel sort of deal. You can dart in and out of traffic very easily. It's just from a maneuverability standpoint, from a driver engaging standpoint, it's a fantastic car to drive. But again, I just don't really know why S2000s don't get a lot of love. You know, people will always go for or talk about, and I mean, rightfully so in a lot of regards. Like, they'll talk about the NSX, they'll talk about Supras, obviously RX-7s, GTRs, et cetera, et cetera. But you have to kind of get to the bottom of the list until people start talking about the S2000. And I don't know, maybe that's because it's a little bit less, I was gonna say a little bit less practicality, usability, but that's not even true, because almost all those cars I listed, you know, they're either two-seaters or their back seats are fake, like a Supra, you know. RX-7 actually obviously has no storage capacity either, so I don't think it can be that. But you know, the S2K has a very, if you have an S2K, you're probably part of a forum. You probably have a special spot in Cars and Coffee where you meet up with other S2K owners. So I think that's really cool. I've had a lot of conversations with S2K owners when I drive to a restaurant or I'm running an errand. Someone will say, hey, I have an S2K, and they'll ask me about mine. So I think it's great that there's a very kind of close-knit community of S2K owners who you know, are definitely intent on keeping these things on the road. But yeah, it's just weird. I don't know why the S2000 doesn't get a lot of love. And you know, when I was thinking about doing this video, guys, I was kind of thinking, you know, what are the reasons why I don't drive my S2000 as much? And I mean, obviously, other than the fact that I do have a few, you know, handful of other cars that I typically go to, whether it's to, you know, take the boys to school, or, you know, run a quick errand, or, you know, date night with my wife, whatever the case may be. You know, the first thing that kind of pops into my head when I think about my S2000 is the space or the lack thereof, which is kind of weird and stupid, because 70% of my cars have no back seat, or fake back seats, like the Supra, right? Or the 3000 GT, completely unusable. So, but for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's because it's the Roadster. I'm trying to think, is this my only convertible? I think this is the only convertible that I currently own. Obviously, some of my cars are T-tops or Target tops. But for some reason, whenever I think of my S2K and I'm considering whether or not to take it, even when I'm considering taking just one of my boys or one other person, I'm like, S2000 is kind of small. Or, you know, do I need more space in that? And I don't know, that's just weird. Maybe that's just me. I just kind of equate the S2000 with being small and not having a lot of space, which is true, but that's obviously true with a lot of my other cars. So I don't know why I have that kind of inherent bias against the car. You know, again, the shifter leaves something to be desired, at least in my opinion. I know a lot of people love it, but if I honestly think, guys, if the shifter feel was different for me, I probably would drive the car more often, because like I said, it's the most fun and the easiest car I have to drive quickly. not fast, but quickly. And sometimes you need to do that, or you just want to do that. And you know, again, bulletproof reliability, never had issues with it. But then again, it's a Honda, of course. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I definitely think people sleep on these cars. I think the Honda S2000 does not get the love or the appreciation that it deserves. But then again, I start looking at myself in the mirror, and there's certain things that I kind of knock it for. Some warranted, some not as warranted, I think. But I think that as the years go by, people will continue to really appreciate these cars, because it was kind of, you know, if you wanted the experience, the engagement, the fun of driving a Miata, an MX-5, but you basically wanted more power, because at the time, I think these have 285, something like that, horsepower, or 255, something like that. And the Miatas, I think, at the time had less than 200, or right around 200. So, again, if you wanted, you know, a little bit more pep in the step, you definitely went for the S2000. And I remember when I was a kid, and the S2000 and the Miatas were still around at the same time. People were like, well, the Miatas is for girls. It's a girl's car, and the S2000 is like a manly car. It's the cool car, right? It's the more macho of the two. So, you know, I don't know if that's true. I've owned both, and I've enjoyed both. So, just my quick thoughts, guys, on my S2000. I definitely should drive this car more, and you know, I will definitely try to do that. So, let me know your thoughts. If you guys have an S2000, if pros and cons, if you enjoy yours, maybe why you think the S2000 is underappreciated or slept on to a certain degree. Hope you guys like the video. Give it a thumbs up, comment below, like, and subscribe. Please support the channel. Hope to catch you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye bye.